Hello, my friends. Can you guys hear me? Hi. Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me okay. Hello, Patty. Hello, John. Hello, Jojo. Hello, Zachary. Thank you guys for stopping in. Awesome. Thank you, Patty. I decided to pop in today for a little surprise live stream. I don't know about you guys, but I'm in the middle of a holiday days. It's been a lot. And I finally got most of my gifts out. So I got them all done and shipped off to the East Coast. For those of you that don't know, I live in Colorado now. I'm originally from Boston. Most of my family still lives in Massachusetts and surrounding areas. So I had to hustle to get a bunch of gifts together and send them all out. And it was a pile and I got it done. And now I'm just working on two more little gifts for my neighbors. And then that's it. That's all I have to do. But I need some good relaxation time. So I thought we could hang out together. And I'm going to take a page out of Grandma Barb's book from Grandma's Crochet Corner. And I'm just going to sit here and crochet today. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about some other stuff. But first, let me take a little sip from my mug. And as you know, here we trust the process and we don't panic. I'm drinking out of my Don't Panic mug. I'm having a little fire cider tea, which is, it sounds fancy. It sounds fancy, but it's just hot water and fire cider, which if you don't know what fire cider is, it is apple cider vinegar that is steeped with all kinds of funky stuff like horseradish and cinnamon. Cinnamon's not that funky, but horseradish and really like potent stuff. And it's really strong. And you can just take it straight up or you can put it in hot water and make a nice tea. And my hands are freezing. So I thought I'd make a little tea today. So join me if you have it. Take a sip and join me in a little hot beverage or whatever you might be enjoying today. What about you guys? Have you guys been experiencing crazy wind? Here in Colorado, we have some crazy wind going on. Right now, it's not so bad, but last night we had to batten down the hatches. I was worried we were going to lose our garbage can. I had to take in my Christmas decorations. I have two big, not huge, but inflatable Christmas decorations. One is a little snowman, and one is a little, it's bigger. It's a dog that looks like my dog Mochi with a little Christmas hat on and a little present. We got that this year. And I had to bring them in because I was like, they'll end up in Nebraska if I leave them out there. But anywho, today is going to be a little bit different. Candy's going to sit around and chat a little bit. I hope you guys don't mind this vibe. I'm not going to be actually painting and doing anything like that. But just want to make sure that everybody can still hear me well. Yes, let me look in the chat and catch up a bit. Yet loud and clear, Patty says. Hi, John. Nightbot is working. There's the lady of art. Thank you, John. You're such a sweetheart. Strong winds with rain here in Ohio, but the temperatures are 57. Same here. Today, not as much wind. We got a little bit of rain last night and it was whipping. And then we have another wind advisory for tomorrow. So I'm not going to put the decorations back out because I'm worried. I'm worried about my decorations. I have to show you guys pictures of these sometime because the dog that I got this year looks just like Mochi. And if you don't know what Mochi looks like, go take a look at my latest video, which I put up today. And you will see what my little nugget of joy looks like. So, guys, how is everybody's holiday season going? Is it stressful? Is it joyful? Are you connecting with people? Are you connecting, most importantly, are you connecting with yourself? Are you remembering the reason for the season, which is, in my opinion, aside from anything religious, if you're religious, I'm not a very religious person, I'm spiritual. If you're religious, I completely honor that. But aside from anything religious, for me, the reason for the season is to really reflect on the past year, to practice gratitude for the things that I have in my life, the things that are going well, and the things that I need to improve on. So I'm trying to really check in with that now that the chaos has kind of died down a little bit and all of my gift making or kerfuffle is a little bit less intense and insane. I'm trying to check in with that. And really, I do that to myself. Every year I say to myself, okay, we're going to start making, I get so crazy making gifts and then, and giving gifts and trying to get them out to people that at the end of it, I say, okay, this year I'm starting in January. I'm starting in January. I'm going to start making gifts in January. And when I get to December next year, no problem. No problem. I will have it all figured out. Do I do that, guys? Do I do it? Not so much. Not so much. And then I get to October and November and I start wanting to crochet again. And I'm like, how many gifts can I crochet in 2 months with just these 2 hands? It's pretty wild, but says that we have 4 in here right now. Thank you for people who have joined me. Yeah, I know, Jojo, never happens. Never happens. This year I am determined, though. I haven't quite burned myself out, and this year I am determined to, I have caught the crochet bug again. So I'm determined to start my crochet projects for next year. This year I did a lot of painting projects for gifts, so anyway, I'm looking down here because I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at myself, but my camera is up here so that you can see my little hat. So first and foremost, I wanted to, because I know that I have, my channel is mostly art, right? It's my art journey. There's a smattering of other things, but I know that a lot of you might not know who I am and might not know much about me. So I thought I'd chat a little bit about myself, hopefully not make an ass out of myself in the process, but it's a party. Let's just let's just embrace looking like an ass sometimes, shall we? I think we shall. All right, let's take the advice of the mug. Don't panic. Take a nice sip of this fire cider tea, boost my immune system. And so my name is Candy. My name is Candy Smargy. I live in northern Colorado. I'm originally from the East Coast. I'm born and raised in Boston and the greater Boston area. Moved out here about 11 years ago now on a whim. Actually, that's a whole other story. That is a very long story, but my husband and I needed a change and we sold everything and we got in an RV and broke down all across America until finally the universe told us, y'all need to just settle down in Colorado. And it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to us. So we really love Colorado. We miss our family back east desperately. We don't have a lot of money, so we don't get to travel back a lot. But we are originally East Coasters, learning to be mountain folk. We don't live very high up in the mountains. We're in the Front Ranges in northern Colorado. But I am a self-taught mixed media artist. So what does that mean? So mixed media art is basically art that uses, or a mixed media artist is an artist that uses all different kinds of mediums, acrylic paint, markers, oil paints, watercolors, whatever the heck I can get my hands on, I will use. And sometimes I will use multiple mediums in one piece. So that's all that means. And I'm pretty much entirely self-taught. I didn't go to college. In high school, I had a few art classes, and also, early education had many art classes before they did away with art classes, I guess. But anyway, without getting all political. But anyway, so I've always been a very creative person. Went through most of my life saying, well, I couldn't be a professional artist. That's something for other people. But knew that I was very creative and just had an eye for color and detail. So I eventually, kept going throughout my life and would pick up creative projects here and there, but never took it super seriously. And then a few years ago decided I was going to go all in and try to be a professional artist and try to make a living out of this. And I am hobbling along. I am not quite making a living, but I am doing my level best, guys. And I am learning a lot. And it's been a roller coaster, a lot of ups and downs, but I'm grateful for the journey, and I'm glad to have you guys here with me. So I make a lot of different types of art. I'm bouncing all over the place. Sorry. I'm entirely self-taught. Really, a lot of my education came from what I've learned on YouTube, books that I've read. Shout out to the late, great Cinnamon Cooney, the art Sherpa on YouTube. She passed away a year ago this month, and I'm still, not to make it all about me, but I'm still devastated by that loss. She taught me so much. If you are into art videos and want to learn about painting, go find Cinnamon Cooney, the art Sherpa, and keep her legacy going, because she's amazing. And rest in peace, my lady. She was awesome. She was so great. Gonna tear up here. Anywho, so learned a lot on my own, took a few classes here and there, but basically self-taught. So that's my story. I don't have kids. I am married. I've been with my husband for 15 years. We've been married for 12 years. We have the same birthday, the same year, born 12 hours apart on opposite sides of Massachusetts. He was born shortly after noon, and I was born shortly after midnight. And our zodiac sign is Gemini. So we are the twin symbol, which is kind of wild. And we got married on that day. So we were born June 8th, 1981. We got married June 8th, 2013. And he is the love of my life. He is my very best friend and my fiercest supporter. And I couldn't imagine doing this wacky thing called life without him. I believe our energy and our spirits return to this plane of existence over and over again. And I think that he and I have connected over forever. Maybe one time I was his cat, maybe we weren't married. Maybe that's weird. I don't know. Is that weird to say? Anyway, I think that he and I always find each other in every incarnation. And I think that's kind of beautiful. We don't have human children, but we have fur babies. We have a 8-year-old. He just turned 8 2 days ago. Japanese chin named Mochi. He's napping over here, or I would pick him up and show him to you guys, but most of you guys have met him or have seen him if you come to Grandma Barb's chat. And we have a 13-year-old Siamese mix named Junie, cat named Junie. And we used to have, at one point when we first got Mochi, we had 3 cats, but unfortunately we lost our Lulu and our Hazel. So we're down to Junie and Mochi, but they fill our lives with so much love and joy. And I can't imagine not being a pet mama, to be honest. It feels a little weird to be down to 2, but we have actually kind of a small apartment. This is just where I am in my studio / office is the 2nd bedroom of a 2-bedroom apartment. It's an upgrade from an RV, which is what we were living in when we first got here, but it's starting to get full up, guys. So we're having to manage some space issues. So when we lost our 2nd cat in June, I started really thinking, should we get another cat, or even another dog? And I was like, man, I'm so busy. And I make all of their pet food and their treats from scratch, a homemade diet. It's basically just chicken mixed with supplements. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to take care of these little guys, but I love doing it. I love them. So that's a little bit about me and my journey and my life. And I wanted to show you a little bit of my artwork because I know that you've gotten some sense of the stuff that I make from my videos, but maybe you guys would like to see some of the other things that I've worked on over the years, that I've been working on recently. Truth be told, I haven't been doing a ton of painting recently. I've been really focused on YouTube and kind of sucked into the YouTube wormhole. and mostly have been making art projects related to YouTube, but hoping that after this holiday season, I can regroup and get back to making, getting back to an art schedule where I'm actually painting things for not only myself, but things that I am trying to get out into the world, not just in terms of YouTube videos. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to start with a few smaller paintings. This past year, I took a class on with Alai Ganuza, and it's an online class, and it's a basis of color theory. It was a fantastic class. She is an adorable Spanish woman from Spain, and she has pink hair, and she just I totally vibed with her spirit. But she had us painting avocados and all kinds of foods and things, and I forgot how much I loved painting food. And I had been really having sort of I go through these periods of self-doubt where I I feel like I'm on top of my game. I feel like, I got this, I know what I'm doing. And then I get one painting where or one project where I'm just not getting it, and my confidence would plummet. What this class did for me was really push me out of that and help me realize, like, I love painting food. When all else fails, go back to basics. So I went on a tear and started painting a bunch of small 8x8 paintings of food. And some of these are part of a series which I'm calling Delightful Bite, and it's foods with a bite taken out of them. So here's the first one. Hopefully you guys can see it. It's a big, what do you call it? Like a chocolate covered ice cream bar, just a classic ice cream bar, kind of smushed. And this one is actually called Smush. And I like these paintings that sort of, I don't know, when I look at this, it entices me. It makes me want to take another bite quickly. It's one of those situations where it's like, is this a disaster? Did this thing break? Or did someone already take a bite out of it and it's starting to crumble and you want to get the other bite before it all starts to fall apart, right? So I like that feeling of anticipation with this. And these are some of my chocolate covered ice cream bars, especially with nuts, are some of my favorites. But as most of you in the chat know, I am on a low carb, mostly animal based journey. So there's not a whole lot of chocolate covered ice cream bars in my life these days. But I do greatly enjoy painting the foods that I'm no longer consuming. Hi, Mason. Welcome. Hello. I was on Zoom with others for a meeting with Dr. Chafee. Had surprise guests, so I came in here instead of Zoom. When guests left, honor friends. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Dr. Chafee is a smoke show, meaning he is hot stuff, so I would have a hard time pulling myself away from that. He's also very knowledgeable. I don't want to reduce him to just a slab of meat, but he is quite a slab of meat. What else is everybody saying? Sorry, John is enticing people to thumbs up. Thank you, John. John says, I love Colorado. Didn't like roads in the winter, though. Yeah, I'm luckily in a pretty populated area, so they take care of the roads pretty well. But when I moved here from the East Coast, one of the things in Massachusetts, they are anal retentive about snow removal because there's not a lot of space, and salting and ice is really an issue. They do not do that here. You have what do you call it, like grocery stores and stuff that don't plow their parking lots. And I'm like, don't you want us to come in? Do you want us to die on our way to come in and buy our groceries? Like I've literally fallen on my ass a few times trying to get into a grocery store, and I'm like, I've never experienced that anywhere else. Colorado people are built differently. The kids are out here in the middle of December and January with no coats on. Well, also it's been very warm the past few years. This time, I mean, we've been hitting high 60s most days this week. But people out here are just built different. They're just like, we're just gonna go. We don't care. Let's see. Josephine says, me too. No, that's why we have twins all over the world. Yes. Oh, sweet. And Carnivore Helix is here. Hi. Thank you, Helix, for stopping in. Helix, you missed the beginning. I am just going over some of my, I'm having some tea. I'm going over some of my art that I have made, and then eventually I'm going to be crocheting. I don't know if I announced that to everybody, but I am going to be crocheting. I have a hat to finish as a gift. I'm going to start that in a little bit, or start crocheting on that. It's started, it's halfway done. But you know, being crafty and being a mixed media artist, crocheting is an art as well. It is a fiber art, and I love it. And joining Grandma Barb's chat really uh, reminded me how much I loved it. And I had put it down for many years because I was getting a lot of hand cramping and a lot of hand issues and wrist issues. But I started several years ago doing yoga and strength training with dumbbells, and I found that I still get, you know, some sensations and stuff that are not so pleasant in my hands, but they're doing a lot better. So I'm able to crochet without worrying about, I felt like I had to give up crochet in order to save my hands for painting because I loved painting so much. But now I'm finding that I can do both. And as long as my hand keeps working properly, that's fine. But I'm very, very grateful for that. I think I've healed a lot in a lot of ways, and I look forward to continue healing. Um, let me take a sip. Oh, that fire cider tea. Whew, it gets you right here because it's got like horseradish and stuff in it, so it really starts to warm you. There have been times where I'm just like, whew, start to get a little steamy in here. Let's see. Chafee. Everyone's saying hi. Thank you, Patty, for reminding people to thumbs up. And of course, I'm drinking tea here, and I'm probably going to have to go pee. I will probably have to go potty at some point because warm liquids, one of the reasons why I don't drink more tea, guys, maybe this is TMI, it goes right through me. I don't even drink caffeinated tea anymore. I don't drink caffeine anymore. Very minimally. Once in a while I have caffeine, but it started to affect me, and I don't drink coffee. I stopped drinking coffee a few years ago. I don't drink caffeinated tea, but warm beverages go right through me. So if I end up having to take a potty break, I do apologize. But Candy, get one of those pink soft gloves to sleep in. I sleep in one sometimes. I have a brace that I sleep with on my right hand because it was so painful for a long time, and now I do it just automatically. But the soft glove sounds nice too. John says, dang, I wish I came on Zoom earlier. I like Chafee. He's brilliant. Chafee is brilliant. I have been watching a lot more of his content. And I find him to be very, 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 very informative, very smart guy. Josephine says, cool, my right hand fingers have been sore, not just from painting, but skinned my knuckles cleaning. Oh gosh, I hate that. Yeah, I've got, I don't know if you guys can see, I got these scratches on the back of my hands. I don't know where the hell they came from. And Joe was like, probably the cat. And I'm like, I don't remember her scratching me, but sorry, just adjusting my camera a little bit, but you end up, at one point in my life, I had 4 cats, and then I had 3 cats and a dog. I don't notice anymore when I get scratches from them. It really does not register at all. Unless I had one of my cats like bite me once, like she had reacted to something pretty good. But okay. I hope I didn't just disconnect. It just said OBS disconnected. I hope I'm still going, guys. Anyway, so my dearly departed cat once bit me, and I was just like, what the hell was that? But I had never experienced that otherwise. Anyway, I'm talking up a blue streak, and I promised to show some art. So here's another one. This one is also from the Delightful Bite series, and this one is actually called Delightful Bite. So big, beautiful, yeasty donut with I love those, frosted donuts. So delicious. And the color is not coming across great here because it's kind of glare. It's quite bright, but hopefully you guys are getting what I'm laying down. One thing that I love I just like to share what I like about each one. I don't know if that's normal or not, but one thing that I really like about this one is the crumbs and all the stuff that comes off. I think that's, I've seen a lot of pictures and paintings where there are bites taken out, but everything is pristine. But if you look, like, I've got some of the sprinkles, sorry, where's my hand going? Some of the sprinkles are coming down, you know, like as if the teeth really dragged through the bite. And that was really important to me to make it seem really realistic. And I think when you bite into something like this, you're going to have kind of a mess, right? The person who took a bite of this and then laid it down probably has pink frosting all over their lips and on their fingers. They're sticky, you know, and I wanted to convey that sort of in this image, also keeping it very simplistic and kind of clean. So that's the Delightful Bite donut. This one is one of my favorites as well. It is a cup of coffee that says, "Tell your dog I said hi," which is a bumper sticker that I see often that I want. Who doesn't love a good buttery croissant and two luscious looking strawberries? This one I really loved. The background color really is just very calming. I want to sit down to this breakfast. I don't know about you guys, but if I was still eating all these carbs, I still eat berries. If I was still eating all these carbs and caffeine, I would eat this all day. So that's another. And then I don't think this is part of my Delightful Bite series, but this could be, because it's 3 gummy bears sitting on a fork. And if you think about it, it is one delightful bite, right? But it's 3 gummy bears just hanging out on a fork. And I call this one Forking Sweet. Do you get it? But I saw this reference photo and I was just like, this is so cool. It's cool because who the hell eats gummy bears with a fork? It's cool because of the luscious color and the translucence of the gummy bears. You sort of have to get that light shining through. But I had a lot of fun with this one. Painting metal texture is also really fun. Super, super fun painting to make. I enjoyed that one a lot. Take another sip here and catch up with my chat here, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is kind of early for me and an odd day. It's Thursday, but I figured I'd pop on. And it's the middle of the day, but here it's 5 o'clock, which would make it 7 o'clock for a lot of you that are on the East Coast. But I don't know. My husband Joe has a closing shift today. So I was like, well, I'm going to be bouncing around here. I got to finish this hat anyway. Might as well pop on here and talk to some people and let people get to know me in a different way. So here I am. Let's see. Oh, there's a lot of chat going on. Yay. All right. Fingers. You are here. Yes. Homer. Yeah, the pink donut reminds you of Homer. Donuts. Simpsons. I can't believe how long the Simpsons have been on, guys. Can you? Who knew that it would just keep going on forever and freaking ever? I checked out a long time ago, but when I was younger, I mean, I think that started when I was like 8 or 9, maybe younger. I'm 44 now. Wow, it's going and going and going. Does anybody in the chat still watch it? Did you watch it before? I'm curious. Let's see. Mason says cute. Josephine says love it. Carnivore Helix says gorgeous donut drawing. The donut drawing would be fantastic thumbnail for my blog series, Super Stupid Donuts. Ah, I would love to hear about this blog series. Tell me all about it on Instagram, please. Oh, thank you, Jojo. Jojo says how sweet and you're good with words. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I often feel like I over-explain myself and I'm too, to just chat too much. But it's nice to hear that it's well received. Carnivore Helix says, "Oh my goodness, that's so cute." Jojo says the fork looks real. Thanks. I worked really hard on it. John says those are such cute gummies. Patty Meyer says, wow, so perfect. Thank you, Patty. Josephine says 10 a.m. here. Wow. Wow, on the other side of the planet. And isn't it summer there, Jojo? You guys are enjoying warm temperatures there. And I think Carnivore Helix meant that it's 6 p.m. It's not 6 a.m. where you are, Carnivore. I know it's not. And John says, it's candy time here. And Carnivore Helix says, it's hard to draw metal looking like things like a fork. It was very impressive. Thank you. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Once you start painting metal, you realize it's just color. And then it's really about the highlights and the shadows that really make it look metal. It can be very daunting when you first sit down. It's the same thing with painting glass and see-through things. Like if you paint a glass of water and you're like, oh my God, how do I paint this? Everything is see-through. You know, you can see the other side. It's clear. What do I do here? It's mostly the outer shape of it and then the highlights that really bring it all together. It's maybe someday I'll do a painting where I either live or in a video where I do some of that, because it's a lot of fun and it seems like impossible until you do it and you realize it's like painting anything. It's just block in that color, get your highlights and your shadows. My tea is almost cold, so I'm going to chug it. I'm going to chug, guys. I got like 4 more sips. All right. Yes. All right, so let's move on to a few more paintings and then I'll start crocheting. I mean, the crocheting is not going to be very interesting. It's just going to be me sitting here and talking and babbling. So at least this part is something to look at. I'll be interested to see who sticks around and who pops in later on as I'm crocheting. But I don't know. I think I'll be here. I don't know when exactly I started. I'll probably be here for, you know, another hour or so. Maybe more if the vibe is good. If the vibe, as the kids say, do the kids still talk about the vibe? Anyway, this one, summery scene. And I love how luminous this one is. It really makes me feel like sunshine. It makes me feel like it's a warm day and I'm sitting outside and I'm about to drink this beautiful glass of fresh lemonade. And I love bees, so I couldn't resist but to put a bee in. I know that the bees are tricky for people that are allergic. I have a friend who is very allergic, and anytime I say I love bees, she's like, oh God. But here, what I was just talking about, we have a lot of glass texture in this, a lot of you know, we've got the glass of the honey jar, we have the glass of the lemonade glass, and then we have the metal of the knife that ostensibly was used to cut up these beautiful lemons. So this was a really fun one. This is I think this is a 10-inch by 10-inch canvas, and it's gallery wrapped, so it's a thicker canvas. So I ended up painting the edges too, so the table wraps around. But yeah, this is a fun one. I have a lot of fun with all of these. Some of them are a little bit more challenging than others, and you know, some strong words are there's a process. There's a process, and you work it out and you scream to the heavens. You guys ever watch Forrest Gump? You ever watch Forrest Gump and you see Lieutenant Dan? Lieutenant Dan climbs up, I think it's after he lost his legs, and he climbs up the flagpole, or it's not a flagpole, but it's on a ship, and he's screaming at God. Well, you know, I feel like we all do that many times a day. Not necessarily like being angry with God, but just screaming into the void, screaming into the universe. What the hell's going on? What is happening here? Right? And that happens in my art process all the time. So here's another, forget what I called this one too. Goodness. Imagine that, forgetting all of the titles to your paintings. No clue what I called this one, guys. I'm sorry. That's awful. All the names are floating around in my head. It might be Triple Dunk. But anyway, we've got a beautiful, luscious glass of milk and 3 cookies falling into it. And ostensibly, there was a 4th cookie. It must be in the glass, right? Because what is creating that splash? But I got really obsessed with creating splashes in my work. I painted another one, which I will show you in just a minute. And that was the first one that sort of got me really excited about painting splashing liquids. And so I did a small series, and I might continue that series, to be honest, because I enjoy it so much. But I did the cookies, and then this one that I'm about to show you. And then there's another one that's called Jitter Juice, which is a coffee pouring out of a mocha pot, a metal mocha pot, actually. I've been drawing a lot of metal, painting a lot of metal lately, and pouring into a cup, and it's kind of all tilted and fun. I probably should have pulled that one out too, but anyway, excuse me. So here's the other, and some of you might have already seen this one, but this was the first one I did with the splash that really just, this one excited me so much. I felt so good about this painting when I was done. There was no part of this painting that I did not love, and that's rare for me. Usually I can pick out just 1,000,005 things that are wrong. 87 things that are wrong with anything that I've created. And in this one, I loved my baby so much. And I call this one Orange Twist. And I think it's kind of fun because those are orange slices. And usually most people think tea and lemon, but maybe this is an orange tea, and that's really fun. I like that, changing that up a little bit. The orange slices were super fun to paint and get really juicy. I just love everything about this painting. Part of me wants to keep it, but it is up for sale, just like all the others. Can't be too sentimental about this stuff. Gotta get it out of here and make some money. This one is also on gallery wrapped canvas. It's 11 by 14. Most of you, or some of you, may have already seen it. This one is called Sweet Retreat. And I had a vision for this one where I wanted a little cabin scene where you were looking outside, and maybe it's a blustery day. Maybe it's a little bit, a colder fall day. Maybe the person who lives in this cabin, I like to tell stories about my art. Maybe the person that lives in this cabin had a hard day or did a lot of hard work today and is finally, for the first time today, sitting down to a beautiful, luscious treat. And, you don't see the teacup here. You see the teapot and the cupcakes and the scattering, almost jewel-like raspberries and the spoon. And maybe you don't see the teacup because this is the moment where the person has sat back and said, and is taking a nice long sip of their tea, making sure it's perfectly sweet and to their liking and brewed perfectly, and just finally checking in with themselves after a long day. And then they're going to dive into this amazing treat. And so this one is called Sweet Retreat. And I love that one. I really love the way that one feels. I love the way that one makes me feel. I do have a shop where a lot of these are up, and I am working on getting prints made. Prints are actually a lot harder than you would think. Most people say, oh, just get prints made, just make prints. If you don't know what a print is, your original work is sold for more money because it is an original piece with the paint all on it. A print is basically a reproduction, a picture of, or a digital copy printed out of your artwork that is usually sold at a lower price point and can make your artwork a lot more accessible to everybody. I buy a lot of prints. I don't got money like that to be buying originals someday, I hope. But I buy a lot of prints from artists, local artists, especially, that I admire. And I'm working on that, but I'm not a photographer, and it is actually a lot harder than you would think to get the coloring right. So I've done a few trial runs, but limited resources make it hard for me to do test runs of these things, and then to have them come back and not be any good. So I have a few that are ready to go, and I just have been really busy and have to freaking get them going. All right, let's catch up with the chat, and then I have 3 or 4 more paintings to show, and then I'm going to start crocheting. It says we have 7 people in here. Thank you so much, 7 people. I'm just going to catch up with the chat. Looks like someone else new is here. TV Romulo, hello. First time I've tried crocheting, and I'm having trouble getting the right firmness in the loop to make amigurumi dino. Oh, that's very tricky. Yes, I just want to be clear. I do crochet. This is not typically a crochet channel. I kind of do everything here. So I do know about crochet, and I hope that I can chat with you a bit about this, but I'm not really a crochet teacher. So let's see. I'm going to catch up with the chat, and then I'm going to come back to you. But welcome, and thank you for coming in. You are so welcome here. Okay, let's see. People are reacting to the paintings. John, sorry, got caught up there. Maybe when Carnivore Awareness Month comes, you could draw carnivore things. When is Carnivore Awareness Month? Remind me of that. And I have been wanting to do a few carnivore-ish paintings, steaks and things like that. A nice steak with some butter. John says BRB. Patty says, wow, 3D. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Nightbot is doing his job. All right. Okay, so you're having trouble getting the right firmness in the loop to make amigurumi. So starting your dinosaur, I'm assuming you're having trouble starting your dinosaur. That's always hard. It's always tricky. Every time I start any project, but especially amigurumi where you're doing the magic circle, very difficult, very hard to do. It's just fiddly. I'm sure you'll get the hang of it. It's just like anything with crochet. It's about, feeling it out and getting the right tension, I don't know. I don't really have any other tips other than that, except stick with it. I know that you'll get it eventually. Carnivore Helix says it's January. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll do something like that. TV Romulo says I made about 50 magic rings to practice. Yes, I have been crocheting off and on since I was about 5 years old, and I still struggle with starting certain projects. Sometimes it's the yarn, sometimes it's the hook, sometimes it's ourselves. Sometimes we're just not in the headspace, and I drop stitches because I'm not counting right. I'm all over the place. So, just be patient with yourself in the process. One thing that I always say in my channel is we got to trust the process, and we kind of got to let the project be what it's going to be. And sometimes they don't want to come together, and we have to just honor that and step away and not try to force it right now. If you have to move on to another project, that's okay. Today might not be the day for the dinosaur if you start to get frustrated, or you might eventually get it after you make 100 magic rings. Who knows? I just got a package today in the mail from my aunt who I used to live with. I lived with her before I moved in with my husband, and this was 15 years ago. And she messaged me a few weeks ago, and she said, I have a big box of yarn here that you left behind. And I said, what yarn? This yarn has to be 20 years old. I moved in with my husband 15 years ago. This yarn has to be over that. And I wasn't crocheting right before I met him. So very much. So I was like, this yarn has to be really old. Now, when I was in my 20s, like I said, I'm 44 now. When I was in my 20s, I had an Etsy shop. I was making a lot of hats. I was making hats for dreadlocks, because for a very short period of time, I had dreadlocks before I realized that was a really stupid thing to do. And then basically had to shave my head to get them off, but that's another story. But I sold some hats, and people really liked my hats. And I was on LiveJournal. I don't know if any of you remember LiveJournal, but I was able to connect with a lot of people that were interested in my stuff. And I made a lot of plushies and hats. I didn't make a lot of blankets back then or wearables. Other than hats. Hats are wearables, but I meant like sweaters and things like that. And I had a lot of fun doing it, but I had this pile of yarn that my aunt sent me from the time where I was doing all of that. I briefly, very briefly, like 4 to 6 months, worked at a Joann's Fabrics, and they gave you 20% off as a employee, and they were forever putting things on discount. So you ever go into a craft store and you see something that's like dumb cheap in the clearance? Well, imagine being able to get 20% off on top of that and being a crafting employee. I was constantly pulling things off to the side in a little basket, and I would buy all kinds of things that really I had no business buying. But anyway, I got this huge box that my aunt paid an embarrassment of money to send to me, and it finally arrived today, and I went through it. Patty Myers got to see some of this with me. I went on and recorded some of the process, and I just went down memory lane with this box. It was wild and I have decided there's a huge pile of yarn in there and a huge pile of memories. And for those of you that don't know, I think most of you do know, I had a really hard time in my teens, really throughout my life, and then really came to a head in my 20s with depression and anxiety, and in and out of hospitals, a lot of medication, a lot of therapy. And it was hard for me to get out of bed. It was hard for me to function. It was hard for me to want to be here. And crochet would help me a lot to feel like I had a purpose, or at least keep me grounded. And this was before I taught myself how to paint. I would I would draw sometimes, I would write a lot, but I never really painted very much or did, any kind of fine art very much. I was a crafter. I did a lot of crocheting. And I went through this box of yarn and I was just like hit with all these memories. Like I remembered there were half started projects. The whole point of this story was that there were half started, not even half finished projects in this box from 20 years ago. A blanket that I started, that I gave up on, a scarf that I started knitting that I gave up on, a little face, like a little weird alien face, and some tiny cupcakes and all kinds of things. And going through it, I was just like, wow, it was like opening a journal or a time capsule or a love letter to myself from my 20s. So I decided what I'm going to do. Some of the yarn I'm going to give away because it's like this crazy fuzzy yarn that's like really hard to work with. And now I understand why 22-year-old Candy loved this yarn, but 44-year-old Candy is like, oh hell no. Oh hell no, we not going down that road with that headache yarn. So I made a little pile of the headache yarn and I put it up on Facebook Marketplace, and I have been getting messages all afternoon from people who want it, but nobody is able to come pick it up yet. So I'll figure out somebody who's going to come and get that yarn, and it'll be a nice little gift for them, a little satchel of the headache yarn, as I say. I knew somebody would want it. But 20-year-old yarn, some of it is full skeins of this like fluffy eyelash yarn and boucle yarn, but just too much of a headache for me. But a lot of the other yarn was like a pile of worsted weight, which is that's your average yarn. If you go down the craft aisle in Walmart, most of your yarn there is your worsted weight. It's like your 4-ply if you don't know anything about yarn and crocheting. So a lot of it is worsted weight, and I decided I'm going to make a big ugly blanket out of this. It's all different colors, and it's going to be a big spiritual thing for me because it's all these parts of my past and these times where I really didn't like myself. I didn't like my life. I didn't think I was going anywhere. And the person who bought all that yarn would be very, very proud and very, very surprised at the person that I am today. Pleasantly surprised, I think. And I thought it would be beautiful to just make a big, ugly blanket and turn it into this comforting, warm, loving thing out of a tumultuous and dark past. And remember that I always had value, that my creativity was always there, even in my darkest moments. And as a reminder to always keep going. If I ever hit dark times again, that blanket is going to remind me, keep fucking going, because you'll never know where you'll end up if you stop now. And Candy 20 years ago, Candy 30 years ago could not envision being okay, being in my skin and being on camera in front of a bunch of veritable strangers who are now becoming friends and family, but you know what I mean. And sharing my story and feeling happy to be here, truly. You know, am I rich? No. Do I know what the hell's happening half the time? Also, no. You know, are things scary? Abso-freaking-lutely. But my God, what a gift. What a gift to wake up every day. What a gift to be here. What a gift to feel sunshine on your skin, to kiss your puppies and your kitties and your loved ones, and to just live and experience this existence. It is truly beautiful if you look for the beauty and not for the doom. And I was doom focused for so long in my life that it feels good to be happiness focused now and light focused. Hopefully that wasn't too weird. All right, guys, I got a few big paintings to show, and then I am going to start crocheting. Actually, then I'm going to take a potty break because that tea did go right the hell through me. And then I'm going to pull out my crochet project. So I did a series. I'm working on a series. It's not done yet. It's going to be a 5 painting series, but there's 4 paintings so far. And it's called Buddhas and Birds. I'm a big fan of Buddhism. I wouldn't call myself a Buddhist, but again, for those that don't know, Buddhism isn't really a religion. It's more of a philosophy. It's not very strict. It's about following a path that is, honestly, a lot of the teachings are on par with Christianity. If you're Christian, you know, I'm not getting into a whole, don't worry, I'm not getting into a whole religious thing here, but I do jive a lot with Buddhism. And I love Buddha statues. I love the big fat jolly Buddha. I like the more Indian Hindu Buddha. And I love the way that they look. So I did a series where I painted Buddha statues in different positions. Usually another, it's called Buddhas and Birds. So there's a bird with the statue. And then there's usually some flowers or some kind of other element. So this one is, I think this is a 9x12. And this one's called Stillness. And this is a Japanese white-eyed warbler, which is one of my favorite birds. And I just love the look of it. I've never seen one in person. I think they're only in Japan and in the East. But and he's sitting on a kintsugi cup. Now, if you don't know what kintsugi is, this is the Japanese practice of repairing pottery with like gold lacquer. And the message here is that even in the brokenness, there's beauty. And it accentuates the brokenness with these beautiful gold lines. And it turns it into something even more beautiful and strong and resilient and wonderful. And I really loved that message here, this moment of stillness between the Buddha and the bird, the light, the kintsugi. I think it all sends a pretty profound message, and it means a lot to me. And another one in that series, that was the second one. Stillness was the second one in the series. And then this was the 4th one in the series. And I hope I can get it all in frame. There we go. This one is called Kokoro. Kokoro means heart in Japanese. And you can kind of see in the corner here, or I'm sorry, in the corner here, I have a little image of a child peeking out from behind a stenciled heart, the words heart. There's some zinnias on the bottom, some beautiful lush zinnias, and a hummingbird. And this gorgeous Buddha statue. And he's, I forget what the mudra is called. The hand signals, the hand positions are symbolic and they mean certain things. And I forget what this mudra is called. Something a V name, Vikra mudra, something like that. And my dad, this is a funny story about this. My dad is a bird watcher, avid bird lover. And when I showed him this painting, he said, I love it, but do you think that you should make the bird smaller or the Buddha bigger? Because hummingbirds are actually really, really small. And I said, Dad, I thought about that myself, but if you consider that this is a Buddha statue or a figurine of Buddha, then it's totally okay for him to be tiny. He might be a tiny, tiny Buddha statue, and he's, not much bigger than scale wise. He's on par with the hummingbird. And my dad said, okay, that makes perfect sense. It's okay. I'm like, thank you, Dad, for keeping me in check. But there you go. That's my welcome back, John. That's Kokoro. And I hope to finish this series sometime in the new year. I already have the painting planned out. There's going to be black swans and I think a big fat laughing Buddha, because I haven't done one of those yet. And I think sunflowers. I had grown some sunflowers a few years ago and I took pictures of them and I really just loved them so much. And I was like, I have to paint these. So I think that's going to be the final of this series. And this final picture, speaking of final, this is the last one I'm going to show today. This one I adore. I forget the size of this one. I think it's a 16 by 20. And this one is called Hello Honey. And the story behind this one is that a little bear cub falls asleep in some red clover and is lulled to sleep by the lullaby of buzzing insects and the warm afternoon sun. But then he wakes up because he smells honey on the breeze and he's going to go in search of some honeycomb. So that's why this one is called Hello Honey. And if you notice with this one, I have even more mixed media elements in here. So mixed media elements, it's not what it always means, but you get sort of this urban look to it. So I've got different stenciled textures here. We've got like a face there, some stenciled letters. This is a bit of, sorry, I can't. This is a bit of corrugated paper. So I like creating a lot of interesting texture like that. We've got some drips here. I think it just creates a lot of interest. Someone once asked me, do the numbers mean something? I said, no, it's just a pattern. It's just something that I popped in there for fun. But this one I love a lot. I love the color palette here. I love the little bear. So I am done showcasing my work for now. I just wanted to share some of that with you guys because like I said, I think I share a lot of myself in my videos, but maybe some of my work I haven't really shared yet. I'm not really pulling them out in every video and showing everybody. So I wanted to show you guys some of my bigger stuff because I work on smaller stuff in my videos because it's easier to produce videos that way if they're smaller, and it's easier to record than the big stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing those. Yeah, it feels very vulnerable kind of to show them to everybody because I have them up in my shop and I have shared them on social media, but you kind of just get a click, and see hearts and stuff. But I'm actually sitting in front of people who can respond right now. And so thank you guys for being so awesome. I'm going to catch up with the chat. I'm going to run to the potty real quick and I'm going to come back and start crocheting. Let's see. TV Romulo said I made about 50 magic rings to practice. Patty says TV practice and more practice. Sometimes yarns create issues and sometimes it's your hooks. Absolutely. Patty is a seasoned crocheter. We talk about crochet all the time and she would know. Carnivore Helix says that is the exact reason why I can't work in craft stores. Yes. I, for many, many years, was just a craft and art supply hoarder. If you look behind me, that is a whole bookcase full of art supplies. And at this point, I use most of them. There's a bunch of oil paints that I have to get into, but oil paints, they're tricky, guys. You have to use solvents. You have to use like odorless paint thinner and stuff to clean your brushes. And I am a soap and water kind of girl. I I like acrylic because I can just rinse my paintbrushes in water. But I have a bunch of oil paints because I got into doing some Bob Ross style painting, and I really want to paint more with it, but yuck, it's very messy. It's very messy. Helix says, "Oh wow, that's gorgeous. Thank you so much, Helix." Um, Patty says, "TV tension is key with crochet. Tension is perfected through practice." That is very true. John says he's back. Helix says, "People that say those things are never trying to be mean. They think literal. I used to do that a lot, like your dad. Your dad also knows that you like your art and he can talk about it." That's very true. Helix, my dad is a very literal person, and it took me a long time to realize he wasn't trying to hurt my feelings, because we look at the world very differently, we think about things very differently. But you're absolutely right, he's not trying to be awful. um and now that I understand that, I feel like I can appreciate him and our conversations a lot more. um John says, "You showing your artwork was wonderful. Thank you, Candy." Thank you, John. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I'm going to take a very quick break to go potty and move some of these paintings away, because if not, I will kick one. I will kick one and damage my sweet babies. So talk amongst yourselves, and I will be right back. Okay, I have returned. I hope that nobody that is watching the replay, I know everybody in the chat already knows, but I hope nobody that's watching the replay is like, "Gosh darn it, when is this lady going to get to crochet?" Because I did make my thumbnail and my title all about crochet. So I hope nobody's too angry at me. You know what I'll do is when I post this, I will put in the chapters, and the chapters will tell you right when the crochet is going to start. And it's going to start right now. So I'm working on, and of course my dog suddenly needs all my attention too. So hopefully he'll settle down. We just went for walkies not too long ago, so I don't think he needs to go out. But if he does, I might have to run to the door and open the door. You can settle down, Bubs. All right. So just like when I paint, I can't crochet with my glasses on for whatever reason. So I'm making a hat for a friend for Christmas, and she's not likely to be watching this, so she won't know. But I'm working this hat in a rectangle. or a big square. And for those of you that don't crochet and don't understand how that works, so what happens here, let's see if I can tilt this down a little bit so I don't have to hold it up so high. What happens here is you work the pattern. Essentially, I'm working it this way, right? So I'm working in rows, up, 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 and then it gets to the right length. And then when it's the right length, you fold it over and you sew it into a tube or crochet it into a tube. And then that's your hat. That's your hat. And then you sew the top shut. Hopefully that makes sense. For some people might not be able to grasp that. I know when I try to explain these things to my husband, he's just like, what the hell are you talking about? I have tried to show my husband how to crochet a few times, and he is he's not a fan. Oh good, the dog settled down again. Good boy. He just got excited. As soon as I move from one room to the other, I went to the bathroom and then back, and he's like, oh my goodness, I have to be involved. What's going on here? If you see behind me, there's a pile of yarn on my art table. That is most of the yarn that I got out of this box from my aunt today. So that's going to make a nice, beautiful, ugly blanket. Look at all those crazy colors. Look at all that. All right. So let me see if I can pull back a little bit so you guys can actually see me crocheting, because if not, it's going to be down here and you're just going to be like, she's not doing anything. She's not doing anything. All right, let's see what I missed when I went potty. Nightbot is working well. Thank you, Patty. Would it be okay if I showed my paintings too? I don't want to be a copycat though. You can show your painting. You mean on your channel or here? I mean, I don't know how you would do that here. I can't, I don't think you can do links, but if you mean on your own, that would be fine. Eventually, I'm sure I will need to make somebody a mod, but I haven't had so many people in my chats yet that I've needed a mod. So, but I'm sure, I don't think I'll ever have Grandma Barb mods, the number of mods. She has so many mods. I'm one of them. Patty asked, does anyone have a favorite painting? I would love to hear that. Carnivore Helix says, I melt crayons sometimes too. That's really fun. I've seen a lot of cool crafts with that. Oh, John, thank you so much. The level of talent that Candy has is a true gift. Thank you. Thank you so much. John says, Helix, I eat crayons sometimes. Kara, my sister is here. Mochi always wants to be part of the party. He surely does. He surely does. Kara, he made a mailman run across the street the other day to come see him. Not his regular mailman, a different mailman. And he stopped, made himself like 50 pounds. He's 11 and a half pounds. He would not move. And I was like, buddy, we got to go. And he just stared at the guy. He doesn't bark. He doesn't whine. He just stared and wagged his tail until the guy came over to him. And the guy, we had met him before, and he came running across the street, and he was like, Mochi. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, he won't move until you say hi to him. And he's like, it's fine. And he gave him all the love. And I love this dog so much, but I don't understand. He makes people fall all over themselves to get to him. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. All right, let's see if we can tilt down just a little bit more. Oh yeah, that'll work. All right. Oh yeah, no, Helix, I don't mind at all. I don't, this is not unique to me. Please show your art and do whatever you like on your channel. I would not be offended at all. I would love to see it. Kara says, I'm not surprised at all. When we went into town with him, he was like a magnet. I couldn't believe how many people were stopping to say hello to the little prince. Yeah, it's like I suddenly went from being invisible to being like constantly visible. And then now I will go out without him and I'm like, why aren't people looking at me? Why aren't people smiling as much? And it's like, oh, because I don't have the dog with me. That's why. The dog's not here, but he's usually with us. He is usually with us. So I waited, hopefully my mic isn't getting too loud. I waited on, I'm finishing these gifts kind of late because it was more important for me to get all the stuff out to the East Coast first. Um, these gifts are literally for people that live right next door to me. And again, I don't think that they're going to watch this. I hope not. If they do, this is what you're getting. Um, but so I can work on their gifts until Christmas Day, right before, right up into Christmas Eve, and just drop them on their doorstep and deliver them on Christmas Day. So this is the last of what I have to do. I have another hat to make after this. I won't be doing it tonight, but you might see me crocheting that one on Grandma Barb's live on Saturday. I go on Grandma's Crochet Corner on Saturdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, which is where I am. And sometimes I'm on there for 5 hours. Grandma Barb stays on all night. She's a party animal. And sometimes I'll stay on there the whole time with her. Sometimes a little bit less. Sometimes I come late, but it's always a good time. Pretty soon, I think we're still going to be working on our own projects for the rest of the month, but pretty soon, Barb and I are going to be working on the same crochet blanket pattern, a Juan the Yarn Addict's Timber Trails pattern. I bought my yarn. I'm all ready. I have my yarn for it. And I thought it would be really cool if we made the exact same blanket. She chose her own colors. I chose my own colors. But we're only going to work on those blankets when we're together on Saturdays. I told her, I was like, well, if you work on it on your own, you'll be done with it in 2 days, and it'll take me 2 months to finish. I'm hoping that I can keep up and get enough of it done, because I think it would be fun to give them away in Grandma Barb's chat. I'm trying to think of a clever way that we could give them away where it makes it a little bit more fair. Not that her giveaways are unfair, but for everyone that goes into Grandma Barb's chat, there has been one specific person that seems to be winning a lot of the blankets lately. So I thought it would be nice if we could figure out another way to give them away. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I think it would be really fun to give our blankets away after everybody watched us crocheting them. And it might be really fun to do other projects like, seeing if people can guess how many baby hats we can crochet, and then we will donate them to our local hospitals. I've heard a lot of people, I've never done this before, but I've heard a lot of people say that hospitals love little crocheted hats and things for newborn babies. I think that would be really fun for Barb and I to do, and see if the chat can guess, Barb will do 50, Candy will be able to do 25, and see if we can maybe give a prize to the winner or something, whoever guesses right. But these are all just fun ideas that pop around in my head. I do very much enjoy crocheting on Barb's channel as well. I don't know if I've been bitten by the crochet bug again, and I'm going to be crocheting more often. That's for sure. I have a lot of projects brewing that I want to work on. But I don't know if I will be doing a lot of crocheting on here. I know that I probably won't be making many crochet videos. I might do one video. I did one last year. I may do one this year of a project. But it's quite nice to just sit here and do this on camera and not have to worry about my desk with my camera setup for this. And right now I'm not using the 2 cameras, but when I'm doing painting, I need to have the overhead. And my desk that I have my camera set up at is really small. It's quite small. So to be able to paint at this desk is quite tricky. Even to draw and to color with my markers is a bit tricky because I have to have the keyboard on here. I have to have the mouse. I have to have the all the stuff, the water for my paints, the paint palette, the actual painting itself or the drawing, all the tools, and it gets to be a lot. So it's nice to be able to do this and just sit here and work on something and chat with you guys without worrying too much about this lack of space that I have right now. Eventually, I hope to be able to set up on the other table, but I don't know how that's going to work. I do have a laptop. I do have a laptop and I could set it up on there, but that involves going on to, I use OBS Studios, and that involves going on to OBS Studios with, oh, I just realized I have to be keeping track of these rows, and I have a little piece of paper that I was doing that with, and I just completed a row, so I need to write it down. I have to set up OBS Studios on my laptop in order to be able to transfer the cameras over there. And you see behind me, I have a light and an arm because I do record a lot of my my regular content over on the big table. But my live content is over on this table because it's just a lot easier. So hopefully, eventually I can figure that out and I can do even more interesting stuff. But I think it's nice maybe once a month or a couple times a month to come on here and just sit and chat and work on a crochet project, and just do this, just chat with people, see if they have questions for me. Maybe they have art questions, maybe they have crochet questions. I don't pretend to be a an expert on either, but I know what I know, and I know that I can be helpful in those areas. So yeah, I think that could be really fun. I just don't want to confuse people and make too many people think that this is a crochet channel. You start bringing in a lot of people who are like, hey, she's a crocheter. They might think all of my content is crochet, and it's not, and I don't want to disappoint people in that way. Goodness, I look a little tired today. I am a little tired. Well, that's okay. That's okay. I'm human and I can look tired. Let me catch up with the chat here real quick. Sorry, I missed a lot here actually. Going back. Okay, back to where Kara said mochi is a magnet. Yes. Jojo says had a visitor. Christmas is looking like a small one now. Only 5 of us for Xmas dinner. Should be good as that one can be so grumpy and ends bad. Not good. Could be fun this year. Well, I hope it is fun. I hope you have a good, happy holiday. I know that I have a big family, and when I was back east and could see everybody, sometimes our get-togethers would get quite crazy and sometimes a little bit stressful. There's a lot of love in my family, but when I was younger, sometimes people would get into arguments and there'd be some tension, and so I understand what that's like. So I wish you a lot of peace this holiday season, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. Nightbot is doing his job. Carnivore Helix says, yes, that's what happened when I got Russell. I don't like the attention, so I call my WALKs, my walks. I have to spell it around Russell. I call them solos. That's, yeah, Mochi knows words too, like that. And, walk, I usually call them walkies. But he's not so obsessed with walkies that if I say it, he wakes up. But there are certain things that if I start to say, he's like, hey, what are you talking about? I know that word. Like if I said TREAT or COOKIE, he would jump right up, I'm sure. John says, Helix, I love your art also. What is the style that you do with your art? The goose was awesome. Ooh, I want to see this. Okay. High on medication and weed style. I haven't done, Carnivore Helix says, I haven't done any real big projects. I think I've gotten a whole new style if I just could sit down and just draw and paint. Carnivore Helix, have you ever done crochet? Is that a thing for you? Helix says, I haven't done anything good, thoughtful art for a year or so. Kara says crochet donations can make a huge difference. Hospitals and local women's shelters. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to start making things. Well, because I'm always thinking about my small space, and I'm like, well, if I start collecting a bunch of stuff that I've made, and I want to keep making stuff, what am I going to do with it all? Like, I can only make so many blankets, and I can only gift so much to my friends and family. Like, I'll make some stuff for next holiday season and stuff, and find a place for all of that, but after a while, like if I make a blanket for everybody in the family, I can't make one every year. You all will end up with a wall of blankets. So eventually, when I get to that point, provided I'm still crocheting with the same vigor, I'm going to have to find a place to send all this stuff. And so I think it'd be cool to look into local hospitals and shelters. And people were talking about cancer wards, really liking hats and warm things for people going through treatments, and even stuffed animals. John says, so the goose was a stoned goose. Looks like it. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Let's see. Sorry, it's taking me a minute to catch up, guys. Carnivore Helix says, when I finally found peace with my silence in my mind, the neighborhood was just a solid weird and quirky, and I was fine with that. Kara says, I think it's a great idea to showcase all of your art mediums on the channel. Some people may connect more with different mediums, and I selfishly love to see them all. Thank you, Kara. I do want to show all of my art interests here. And I love that. Thank you for that feedback. I do want to show it all. I know that some people, if they see crochet, they come in and they're like, oh, this is all about crochet, and then if I don't talk enough about crochet, they might be like, there's not enough crochet, and you can't please everybody. So I just try to be transparent, and that's what I have to do every time I do a live stream, is just be like, hey, this is going to be crochet, but this is also going to be me talking about everything I love, because that's what it is. Carnivore Helix says, we knew how every single loud argument would go and copy them in silence. Hee hee. I do the Grandma Barb thing where I read them all. I don't know if that's annoying to some people. I read them all out loud. But I don't know, seems kind of fun. I feel like it helps people catch up. It's weird how sometimes Nightbot seems to pop everything up at once, but I can't tell if it's just that like nobody has said anything in a while, or maybe Nightbot just forgot, because I have these things staggered. So I'm sorry if they pop up like crazy like that, but I do have them staggered so that they don't come up like that. But Nightbot is a free service, so you get what you pay for, right? It actually works really well, considering all things considered. Josephine says, your work feels joyful to me, so beautiful. Thank you so much, Josephine. All right, I'm all caught up with the chat, so I can continue here. I forget what I was talking about before I started that, going through all of that. So this hat pattern I really like. I had a bit of a drama with this yarn. I'll tell you about my drama with this yarn. So I love this yarn. I don't know if you can see, but it's like a soft cream, and then it's got like a pale purple and a pale green that stripes kind of intermittently throughout, and not fully stripes. It's a variegated yarn, and it just, I love this color pattern. It is Yarn Bee yarn. No, I am lying to you. Sorry about that. It's not Yarn Bee. I don't have that's a wrapper from a different yarn. This is a Hobby Lobby yarn, but I forget the name. It's called like Chunky something or other. It's a number 5 weight yarn, so that's pretty chunky. I'm using a USK 10.5, 6.5 millimeter hook. So that's a pretty chunky yarn. It's making a pretty thick fabric here. This pattern works up in a square, or well, really a rectangle. And it is, if you know anything about crochet, it is a half double crochet stitch, slip stitch mostly. Half double crochet slip stitch worked in the back loop only. And when you work in the back loop only, that's how you get the little ribbed, sorry, there's a big glare there. You get the little ribbed ribbed texture, which makes a very warm hat. This is a very thick, warm hat, which is nice because the person I'm giving it to, they go skiing and they go snowboarding. So I feel like it's probably a good thing, even though it's been pretty warm here in the winter months. We do still get our cold snaps. And if you're going up in the mountains, it's going to be a lot colder and snowier. So, and I had a drama with this yarn because I had bought 3 skeins of this yarn to make a scarf for my beloved aunt. And I got 2 skeins in, no, 1.5 skeins in, and found that the yarn of one of the skeins was inconsistent. So what does that mean? Well, yarn is comes in different thickness. So when you say number 5 weight yarn, this is number 5 weight that talks about how thick the yarn is. It talks about you know, how many strands is woven and is wound around to make the yarn. I don't know everything about yarn, but this is the way I understand it. And so, you know, with most yarns, you expect them to be consistent. I mean, there should be some quality control. Now, there are some yarns that that's kind of their thing. They go from thin to thick to thin to thick in the same skein. But typically, a yarn stays about the same thickness and should stay about the same thickness, and that keeps your projects consistent. Well, I opened up another skein and was continuing on my scarf, and it was going so well, and I was just in love with this yarn for my aunt's scarf. And the skein that I had one of the skeins that I had purchased was just off. It was thinner. It was the yarn itself was thinner, and my scarf started to go all wonky. And yeah, I could have went and bought another one. My husband works at the store at Hobby Lobby, where this is the house brand yarn in that store. But it's holiday season. Making him buy more yarn for me is ridiculous. We only have one car, so actually getting out to the store is actually quite hard for me because he takes the car every day to work. Making him stay late and find more yarn for me, you know, and wait in the big long line, because the line is crazy this time of year, no matter what time of day it is, just seemed like it wasn't the move. And also, what if he bought me another skein, or what if I went in and bought another skein and it had the same problem where, you know, for a certain yardage, it was the same thickness, and then it goes down to, sorry, I was checking the stream on my phone, and then it goes down to, you know, this thin weenie stuff that ends up making the scarf look all warped. So I got really sad about it. And then I found another yarn, and I started working with that yarn, and I didn't like that yarn. And then I finally found a good yarn. I found a yarn on Amazon that I really liked. But I had to do something with this yarn, and this hat is a perfect thing to do with it. Yeah, I was really I was really pissed about that yarn, guys. I was really pissed about that skein. Now that other skein, I will figure out something to do with that. Maybe I'll throw it in the ugly blanket that I'm going to make with all this yarn behind me. Or maybe I'll make a baby hat out of it. It's perfectly fine. Goodness, this stitch does not want to open up for me. Sometimes you crochet too tight and your hook doesn't want to go into the stitch. And it's a bit of a, don't resist me. Go in the hole, damn it. Sorry. So, you know, maybe the other yarn is fine. It's just thinner, and when you couple it with the thicker yarn, it's going to make a wonky piece. But I could make a baby hat with it, and that would be fine. All right, so you guys got to hear my little Muppet roar there. Sorry if that got kind of loud. I wish I knew. Goodness, this is hard to get in here. I wish I knew better how to work with OBS Studios. My husband set most of this up for me, and I you know, I'm not completely computer illiterate. Like I can get around, but um I also just I'll hit a wall with certain things and just be like, ugh, I can't deal with this. And so I hope that my audio is staying consistent and not too loud. I know that when I'm looking down, I'm talking more directly into the mic, and so I want to be mindful of that and maybe lower my voice a little bit. Okay, goodness, that was a fight. So the reason why that's such a fight and the other stitches aren't is because I don't know if you can tell, but this hat tapers. So this is 40 stitches. You do 37 stitches or the half double crochet slip stitch. And then the last 3 stitches are just a slip stitch, but that's only on this end. So every time we come back to this end, we end with a slip stitch in 3 stitches in the back loops to continue that ribbed texture. And those slip stitches, my friends, they get very tight. They get quite tight if you're not careful. And that was what I was just struggling with, was those damn slip stitches. Did I write down that row? I mean, it's not vital if I remember every single row. I mean, if it's a few rows off, it's not going to be that big a deal, as long as it's not massively bigger than it should be and not way smaller. But I keep forgetting to write down. I have a little thing, little hash marks, little hash mark. You can't even see. Let's see. Can you see if I do it like that? I don't know if you can see that. There you go, little hash marks telling me how many I've done. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36 rows. I got to do 52. So, yeah, that's my high-tech way of doing this. I probably could do it on my phone. I have my stream going on my phone. So, no, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Why not? Pen and paper, pen and paper. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Nightbot, Josephine says, oh, I read that. Your work feels joyful and so beautiful. Thank you. Carnivore says, on the crochet things, I'm sure I'd like, but I'm trying not to start any hobbies until I can afford new hobbies. I hear you. I hear you. It's not easy. If you get into it, they'll let me know and maybe we'll crochet sometime together. Helix says, yarn is like my weight. Oh, my yarn drama. This is the cutest drama ever, she says. Thank you. Kara says, it's so frustrating when you are partway through a project and realize something is wrong like that. It really is. I was pissed. And it was like the middle of the night, and I was just like, we got to go to Walmart now. And Walmart didn't have any good yarn, so I just grabbed something. And then I started using it, and I was like, I don't like the way this yarn feels. This is not what I want to use for this scarf, because this yarn is quite soft. It's very nice. And the other one was kind of scratchy. And I was like, why did I pick this? And I picked it because I ran out to Walmart and I was like, well, I better pick something. You know, I have these things where in certain moments, could I have waited till the next day? Could I have waited even a couple of days? Probably. But I was so obsessed with like, I got to get this done, that I had to go to Walmart in that moment. And if I'm going to go all the way there, I have to get the yarn. I can't walk away even if there's nothing really good here. And I'm working on that, folks. I'm working on that, guys. Oh, poor Helix. Damn, I gotta find my own husband. Well, Helix, yes. Oh, well, because you were talking about that because of Joe. Joe working at Hobby Lobby. Yes. Well, I did not expect to find mine. I did not expect to find mine. I'll tell you about meeting Joe. I have to tell this story carefully because I was going through some stuff, and there's a lot of this story that just isn't PG-13. It's not appropriate for all crowds, and it's not anything that I have to revisit. But anyway, I was going through a really hard time in my life, and I had been taking care of my ailing grandmother for 4 years, really more intensely for the last 2 years, but she was declining for many years, and came out of that and just had no idea what I wanted for myself. And really had no business looking for a partner, but went on to some dating sites and started dating people. And good Lord, the best way that I'm going to put this is that I'm a very nice person. I give a lot of people the benefit of the doubt. I will, I'll have a conversation with anybody, and I won't write you off even if you seem kind of scary. I want to see what you're actually made of. And that put me in some funny situations, and it exposed me to some people that just did not have my best interests at heart. And so I started dating, and I had no business dating, and I had a very intense relationship with one guy, and it wasn't even a relationship. It was me being, I was in my late 20s. It was me being completely obsessed with him, and him being mostly indifferent, sometimes also obsessed with me. Very hot and cold, basically, let's say, very hot and cold. And he would come into my life like a whirlwind, and he would leave, and he would come back in, and he would leave. And then I had joined some other dating sites, and I started meeting other people. And every single one I met, one of the guys, we were supposed to meet for a date, and he overdosed on pills that you're not supposed to be able to overdose on. Just like I said, this is a lot of weird stuff. Another guy was a drug dealer. Another guy was a very nice guy. We just did not have a lot in common. And just a bunch of weird dudes in between. And I was just about to give up. And I've always been a big gal. At my biggest weight, I was 360 pounds. And then over the years, I've lost about 120 pounds. I still have about 80 to go, and I'm working hard at that. But just to give you some context as to why I met my husband on a website that was called BBW Chat Zone, which means Big Beautiful Women Chat Zone. Back 15 years ago, when websites and chat rooms like that still existed. But it was a place for people of larger stature to and size to meet each other and feel comfortable with each other. So I had just about had enough, and I was just about to give up. And I wasn't a big fan of this chat zone. And I was like, I was not thinking anything was going to come of it. There was people from all over the place, and I wasn't thinking that anybody. There wasn't very many people close by, but there was a few. There was one guy who lived very close by, but we never really connected. And then there was one guy that lived in the same state, but lived on the opposite side, and he lived, which is almost 2 hours away. And that was Joe, and we just hit it off immediately. Now, in my past, I fell in love with somebody. I lived in Massachusetts, and I fell in love with somebody who lived in Alabama, and I drove all the way to Alabama to be with him for a summer, and that was a shit show. And then another time, I fell in love with somebody who lived in Rochester, New York, and I went all the way up to Rochester, New York, and he dumped me. So I told myself, I will no longer travel for a man. He can come to me. But he was wonderful, and he didn't have a car, and I did. So after having many conversations with him for about a week and a half. Actually, it was just a week. After a week, I knew that I was going to marry him. I knew that we were forever. It's just a soulmate thing. I drove out to see him, and halfway through had a panic attack, pulled over on the side of the road, called him and said, because he lived with his dad at the time, and I said, "You guys aren't axe murderers and going to kill me, right?" As if he would tell me, right? I'm just whatever. And he just laughed, and he said, "I love you. Just come out here." And I got there, and we had a magical weekend and never looked back. And the idea that I met him on this weird little, honestly kind of sleazy corner of the internet is hilarious, because the bond, the connection that we share, the love that we share is so beautiful and so profound. And um, I'm not bragging. This is not anything that I thought would ever happen for me. And people have asked me, well, how do you do that? Like, how did you do that? How did you meet? I didn't do anything. I had no business getting into a relationship with anybody. I was still kind of a mess myself. He was still kind of a mess, but the light in me saw the light in him. And we knew that we had to connect, and we had to do this together. And it's not been an easy road, and there's been a lot to overcome. There's been our own emotional baggage that we brought to the table that we had to get over together and work through. And I'm happy to say that we have managed the bulk of it. And I think we're in a place of really the best place we've ever been in, really, the best communication. I feel very heard and supported. He feels very heard and supported. I can say that. I can speak for him here because I know that. And we are truly best friends. And I don't say that again to be bragging or cheesy. I just say that because it's the truth and it's possible, but there's no pattern to follow. Someone else will tell you what worked for them and how they met the love of their lives and how they met their perfect partner. And that's not your story. Your story is completely different. But I do know that part of it is meeting somebody that you truly trust and can grow with and have perfect communication with. And one thing that I don't abide, and I never would have been able to do, and is not have completely open communication. And when I first got with my husband, he had a hard time with that. He was a lot more reserved and couldn't really open up about things. And I was the one talking about everything. And it made him very comfortable with me because he could trust me. And I could trust him because I could feel his spirit, but he wasn't always telling me everything. I had to read it off of him. I'm highly intuitive and I'm empathic. So if I'm in a room with you, chances are I know how you're feeling. If I spend an afternoon with you, I can pretty much suss out a fair few things. I wouldn't say everything. I'm not a mind reader, but I can. You've been. Oh, it said OBS disconnected again. I hope. And now it says reconnected. Okay, I hope I didn't blip out there, guys. But you have to, um, when you don't know yourself, why you're doing the things you're doing and why you're having the reactions you're having and why you're flying off the handle or yelling or screaming or getting angry or even needing space, then you don't know how to explain that to somebody else. So there's been a lot of years of just talking it out and screaming it out sometimes. And um, very, very blessed and happy to say that we're in a very good place. And I never thought it was always good. I never thought it would be this good. There were things that I thought was always going to be hard, but it was worth it. It was worth going through that hard stuff because the rest of it was so great. And now it's mostly good. So that's a little story about me and my husband. I know it was kind of weird and vague, but Helix, if you're still here, that's just oh, hi Grandma Barb, welcome in. Um, Helix, your person will come to you. And I think I've heard you talk about this a bit, and I think you have a pretty good understanding of the fact that, when you're ready, that there are some things that you might just not be ready for right now, and that's okay. You have to honor that in yourself. You have to honor your own path, and it's okay to not be ready for that right now. It's okay to not. One really dangerous thing, and I used to do this all the time, is sort of define your happiness through external sources, what someone else does for you or is doing to you or isn't doing for you or to you. And your happiness comes from yourself. And that was a very interesting and hard lesson for me to learn. And it's still difficult. There are still days where I'm highly affected by the energy of people around me, including my husband. So if he's having a bad day, I'm instantly having a bad day. But I understand now that I'm responsible for turning that around. I'm responsible for feeling differently. As long as he's not, no one is actively doing anything to me or, trying to ruin my day, that doesn't ruin my day. My my happiness depends on my outlook. My happiness depends on what I choose to focus on. And that's how I try to cultivate joy. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I'm just kind of babbling here, guys. Let me see what people are saying. John says, one hell of a storm outside. Wild. Yeah, the wind was crazy last night. I can imagine. Maybe we sent it over your way. Hope everyone stays safe. Patty says, rain and wind here. John and Patty are close together geographically. Grandma says, rain and wind here too. Tomorrow will look better. Carnivore Helix says, still here, Candy. Jojo says, I hope one day I'll have a beautiful love story. I'm sure you will. And if it doesn't include another person, then have a beautiful love story with yourself, Jojo. Love yourself. You're worth loving, and if it's only you that honors yourself, what you end up doing is you show people how to treat you by how you love yourself. And that person, if you want them to come into your life, they will come, and they will see exactly how to treat you by how much you honor and respect your own heart. John says, good, I'm already missing my walks. I miss my walks so much when I can't get them. Luckily, we get like 300 days of sunshine here in Colorado, so I don't miss walks very often. But in the winter and in the summer, sometimes it'll get really hot and we can't walk until later on at night. Carnivore Helix says, I know there's someone out there for me. I can almost feel him in a way. It's the oddest feeling. This oddest feeling is making me work harder and stronger. It is literally like I can feel him. That's beautiful. I'm sure he is out there. And, he's working through his story. And when it's time, your storylines will merge. Grandma says, it will happen when you least expect it. It always does. It always does. She's 65 years old, guys. She knows these things. And I'm not outing her. She says it all. If you don't know Grandma, she says it all the time. She tells us exactly how old she is. And it's not 87. It's not 87. It's 65. But when it is 87, I'm going to be like, remember when you thought 65 was a big deal? And Patty says, I met my husband through a sort of blind date. I had his face with a different name. Surprise! Patty, that's cute. All right. So I'm continuing on here with my hat. I don't know how long I'm going to stay on. I almost said Barb. Guys, I don't know how long I'm going to stay on. I don't know how long I've been on. Let's see. Will this tell me how long I've been on? No. Let's see. Will this tell me? Live streaming. No. Oh, almost 2 hours. Wow, that's a hell of a long time. Okay. I didn't think I had stayed on that long. All right. Well, I think I'm going to continue for a bit here. I'm having a good time. And I have to crochet this hat anyway. So, I think I'm going to stick around for a little bit more. Sorry that I didn't get to too much crocheting. If you hear, it says there's 8 people here. If you're here watching just for the crocheting, I hope I didn't disappoint you. Or if you're watching in the replay and you're like, why didn't this lady start crocheting until like an hour and a half in? I apologize. But I'm crocheting now. And I think I'll stick around for a little bit more because, otherwise I'd be here crocheting anyway. I do have to do some meal prepping after this. nothing fancy. I always feel like, I don't know what this weird thing is with me, but I go live, and it's not like I feel like I'm a movie star or, TV personality or anything, but it almost feels like really odd. I'll get off of being on live and I'll go change the laundry around, or I'll do the dishes, and it just feels really mundane after doing that. I don't know how to describe that, because it's not like this is even that big a deal. It's just sitting in my art room and talking to some of my friends. But it just feels really mundane. So it's interesting to be here, like talking to people. I guess I wouldn't normally be sitting and crocheting and talking out loud to people. I would just be here alone doing that and listening to something. So it feels really weird to be like, and after I do this, I'm going to go make soup, um, but I'm going to be making a mostly carnivore Italian wedding soup, which is my version of Italian wedding soup. I really love Italian wedding soup, but that has pasta in it. It has more vegetables in it. I have like a frozen mirepoix that's already diced up. If you don't know what mirepoix is, it's celery, carrots, and onions. Usually your good soup stuff, or even for stuffing is good. But Kroger, which is King Soopers out here, sells a pre-chopped, so I don't have to buy it all and chop it all up. Pre-chopped and frozen, so I just saute that a bit, throw in some broth, and then instead of putting pasta in it, I make carnivore noodles, and I make them kind of bite-sized. And that's just with, it's Courtney Luna's recipe, so it's pork panko, pork rind breadcrumbs, cream cheese, gelatin, and eggs. And then I cut those up into bite-sized pieces. And then the Italian wedding soup has meatballs, so I'm doing a pork and beef meatball. And I have some turkey broth left over from turkey soup from Thanksgiving. And if I don't have enough of that broth, I also have beef stock I made. And I've looked up over the years why they call it Italian wedding soup. I don't think it's served at weddings. I think it's just because there's all different kinds of meats, and it's like the broth is chicken, the meatballs are like beef and pork. I think it's that. I don't really know. I looked it up years ago, but I love that soup. I used to love when I would eat more things out of cans and stuff. I used to love the Progresso version with the little like the little pastas that are just like little dots. Really, really yummy soup. I would eat that every day for a while. I would get really into that, especially in the winter. So I'm making that, and that's going to be what we eat for the next couple days. Um, mentioned this before, but Joe and I, we do intermittent fasting. We typically eat one meal a day that I cook something for us, and I send it. We stay on the exact same diet, so I send him to work with this, and I eat it here at home. And then later on in the day, because we're low carb and almost carnivore, we'll have something like hamburger patties, like cheeseburger patties, or hot dogs, or eggs. I'm still eating some keto things, so sometimes some keto ice cream. I still do some berries and nuts and whipped cream unsweetened, so I'll do that sometimes, but that's typically what I eat in a day. Not that anyone's interested. I mean, some of the carnivore folks are probably interested, but uh, so that's what I'm going to be doing after I get off here. I'm going to be sticking my hands in around ground meat and making tiny meatballs for my soup. And then Joe will get home from work and we'll chat for a bit and hang out for a bit before he has to go to bed. It always sucks when he has a closing shift and then he has to be back tomorrow for 9 a.m. And he'll get out tonight about closer to 9 p.m. Hopefully earlier than that, but it is the holidays, so he's there a bit later these days. So, yeah, that's what I'll be doing with the rest of my night after this. And then after I do the soup, I will continue this hat and hopefully be done with it tonight. I really, really need to be finished. I have another hat to make. I really don't think this neighbor is going to see this, but I have another hat to make, and then I have a hoping to do a little art for them as well. So, what's the matter, Bubs? Do you have to go pee? Oh no, do you have to pee? Do I have to open the door for you? Oh, okay. Alrighty. You guys, I will be right back. I gotta open the door for the dog. Go ahead. Go outside. Go on. Go ahead. Go pee. Sorry, guys. I'm still mic'd up, so you can probably hear me talking to my dog. It's dark outside. Very dark. I love this time of year with the holiday lights. Well, he's taking his sweet time, sniffing the air, looking around. Then he's got to turn 3 times. This is riveting content. This is going to get me picked up by the algorithm for sure. She's not even on screen, but we can hear her talking about her dog's pee-pee routine. Oh God, guys. What a whack job I am. What a wackadoodle I am. Oh well, we have fun here. We have fun here. Oh, yep, there he goes. He found a spot. He's going. Good job, Bubs. Good go pee. All right. Come back in. It's chilly out there. We want to close this door. All right. I'm going to finish up soon. You got to settle down, okay? I'm going to finish up real soon. Okay, guys. Did you hear the PP cam? The PP mic? All right. Anyway, let's see. Let me catch up with the chat. I'm going to finish this row and maybe do a few more, and then probably call it a night because I've been on here for quite a long time. And it'll be soon time for Grandma Barb to go live. John says Grandma skipped 60. Grandma Barb skipped 64. She's been saying 65 for a year. And Carnivore Helix says, so what do you do? Just pull the yarn through the loopholes? Pretty much. I mean, with knitting, you work off the needles. So the needles, use 2 knitting needles and knit. You work off of the needles. With crochet, you take the yarn and you make your first chain, and then you work off of that, and you just use a hook. So it's a little metal hook. I mean, it doesn't have to be metal, but mine's a little metal hook. And it grabs the yarn well, and then you go into the stitch and you pull yarn through, and it makes more stitches. There's all kinds of stitches that you can make with crochet, but that's the best way I can explain that. Carnivore says, I get you on the live stuff. I'm assuming you mean the part where it's like feels weird to go back to like the mundane world after doing this. My room is clean now most of the time because of the live YouTube stuff. Choked on my food, and now my voice sounds like I've been a smoker for 15 years. Oh no, I hate that. Hoping this clears up before I do live tomorrow. Well, even if it doesn't, I mean, if you feel comfortable enough still talking and you can actually talk without harming yourself, it's fine. If you sound a little bit raspy, it's not a big deal. But don't do anything that's going to hurt you. Like if you need to rest. Commentary on Mochi's peeing is adorable. Thank you. Bye everybody. Need to catch up on things. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, John. We'll see you later. I appreciate all of you for hanging out with me today. I know this is a little bit different. I hope you enjoyed the art show and tell at the beginning. I had hoped to get more of this done. I think I've only done a few rows here, and I've been chatting a bunch, but you know, we're not worrying too much about that. We're having a good time. we're hanging out. I will definitely do this again. I have a lot of crochet projects coming up, not least of which is that ugly blanket, calling it an ugly blanket, but it's going to be my beautiful blanket. And when people see this blanket, I'm going to say, that's my beautiful blanket. And most people are going to look at it and go, that's ugly. But I'm going to think it's beautiful because it's going to be all this yarn and all these memories and this message of transcendence from my past. And I'm really excited about getting started on that, actually. It makes me want to put my other projects aside. But a few months ago, I bought yarn to make a sweater, and I bought a pattern. So I want to start that sweater. There's just not enough hours in the day to do all this crocheting. I am going to be making a blanket with barb, but that's only on Saturdays starting in January. I have some yarn that I want to make a scarf for myself out of. And I have a bunch of other little projects. Like there's a bag I want to make. And who knows if I'll ever get to it, because then I'm going to start, I really am going to start making gifts for people. And hopefully I won't get bored with crocheting and stop doing this. I feel very excited about it right now, but I do start to get into summer months and the idea of doing bigger things like blankets and whatnot, which as they grow sit on your lap and you're just sweltering under them. That starts to feel less doable, but we'll see what happens. We won't try to predict the future. We'll just let it come naturally. It says that there's still 6 in here with me. Thank you so much, guys. I think I'm gonna do 2 more rows and then I'm gonna call it a night. So what can we talk about for the next 2 rows? So we've talked about the holidays. I've told stories about myself and my husband. What else? You guys doing any special holiday cooking? Any special meals? Joe and I usually have ham for Christmas. I also bought a pack of flanken short ribs, which we had them for the first time the other day and I really enjoyed them, but I'd like to try to marinate them to tenderize them a little bit. If you don't know what they are, they're like a thin cross-cut short rib, kind of like a Korean barbecue style. And they have them at Walmart, and I was really excited about it. So I bought a pack to have sort of on the side with ham, but we are not having true carnivore holiday. I really like to make crispy potatoes, and I never make potatoes anymore, but I really like to make crispy potatoes for our Christmas meal. And they are the best crispy potatoes you'll ever have. They're almost like a British style, and I wonder, Jojo, if they do these in this style of potato in Australia as well. But it's like the best crispy potato ever. You parboil them and you sort of drain the water after you parboil them. You parboil them for about, 5 minutes or so, 7 minutes. And then you drain them and then you sort of knock them around in the pan so that they get sort of a mushy coating of potato. And then you coat them in fat. So I'm going to use beef tallow this year, but in previous years I've used duck fat. And then you roast them and they just become, and you also infuse the fat with like garlic and rosemary. And they just become the most amazing roast potatoes you've ever had in your life. They're like crispy, almost like French fries on the outside. They're creamy and almost mashed potato-like on the inside, but still have a little bit of firmness to them. A little bit more firm than your whipped or truly pureed mashed potato. And they're just like the best roast potato I've ever had. I love making them. I love eating them, and I have them once a year for Christmas. But these days, I'm able to have carbs and not really feel like I have to eat them every day after that or really spiral out of control with it. Um, so we're having that. We might have some asparagus. I did order it. My grocery order is coming. I did order some asparagus just because I like a little asparagus, roasted asparagus, and I haven't had it in a while. And again, I don't have any like issues with vegetables or histamine issues or anything or allergies. I just, you know, in a few weeks, I'm going to be full carnivore, and I figure, have my say goodbye to asparagus for a while. I haven't been eating a ton of vegetables lately, following more of the carnivore pattern of things, which might be weird for people who are watching on the replay and don't know what that is, but it's basically an animal-based diet, which, some people might think sounds a bit weird. I know I did when I first heard about it, but it actually works really well, and you feel really good on it. So I'm still learning about it and still enjoying it. But I'm about 80%, 75% of the way there, I guess. And I'm going to make a cheesecake. I'm going to make a 7-inch cheesecake. I have a little 7-inch springform pan, and I'm going to make a little 7-inch cheesecake with a not a true gingerbread crust, but it's going to be a good night, Helix. Thanks for coming. I'm going to be done in just a minute. I'm just finishing one more row. So I'm going to be making a cheesecake that has a cookie crust, but not like where you take cookies and crumble them up, like graham crackers or cookies and crumble them up and make a crust. I'm actually just going to make a cookie dough and make the crust the cookie dough and then par bake it and then put the cheesecake filling in it and then bake it. And I wanted it to be a gingerbread crust, but even though I'm using real flour for this cookie dough, I'm going to use allulose as a sugar substitute to keep the sugar content low for whatever that's worth. And if I made true gingerbread, I would have to use true gingerbread uses brown sugar and molasses. And so I'm just going to make an allulose sugar cookie that is gingerbread spiced. I'm going to add all the gingerbread spices. And that's going to have a strawberry topping on top. And it's going to be a really nice strawberry cheesecake. It's going to give us enough. It's a very small one, so it's going to give us enough to have, a couple slices each. So one slice one night and one slice the next night when we have leftovers. And then that'll be it for our holiday meal. Our New Year's meal will be truly carnivore. And then I think I'm thinking about doing a fast the first few days of the new year. I'm thinking of doing at least a 36, maybe a 48. And then I was going to go right into a 3-day egg fast after that. But don't quote me, don't hold me to it. I may change my mind, but I've been feeling the need to fast and change some things up. So I think I'm going into that. And again, if you're watching the replay and all this is weird for you, I apologize. This is just some of the stuff I do. I'm into intermittent fasting. I'm trying to lean into longer fasts, which are very beneficial to your health. If you don't know anything about it and you think it's weird, I advise you, or I not advise you, but I ask you to have an open mind and go do your own research before you judge too harshly. But anyway, you do you, boo-boo. I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm just saying that, some people might hear this and go, oh my God, why is she suddenly talking about fasting and stuff? I have been diabetic for over 20 years, a type 2 diabetic. And I am, because of the lifestyle changes I've made and the weight I've lost, I have been able to be off medication for over a year and maintaining a fairly stable A1C. So this is why I do the things that I do. Intermittent fasting really saved my life. Going low carb really cleared up a lot of brain fog and a lot of funky emotional stuff for me. Hi, Sandy. Welcome in. I've been chattering on for quite a long time, Sandy. I'm just finishing up here, and I'm just talking about my Christmas meal because I couldn't think of it, what I'm making for Christmas because I couldn't think of anything else to talk about. So yeah, that's about it in a nutshell. I mean, I am going full carnivore in a few weeks in January. I'm about 75-80% the way there. Um, and I think I'm going to start the first week with a fast, and after January 1st, because we usually do surf and turf, steak and shrimp on January 1st, and then after the 1st, I will go into a fast and then go into an egg fast after that. So I will keep you guys posted about that, my carnivore friends that are watching. So you guys, I have much more to do here. I didn't do hardly any. I think I did 5, 6, 7, 8 rows, which is kind of pitiful considering I called this a crochet chat. But next time, I mean, I did say it was going to be art chat as well in the description. So I guess that's okay. But I'm going to put this aside for now because I have to go do some meal prepping. As I was talking about before, I have to do got to make some soup for my husband and I for the next few days. I got to stretch my legs. Got to stretch my legs out. They start to cramp up when I'm sitting too long. And yeah, so and then I have to sit down and finish this hat tonight, come hell or high water. That's our goal for this evening. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you had fun. I hope you had a chance to relax, and I hope that you'll come back and hang out with me again real soon. I don't know when I'm going to go live again. I hope that next time I go live, I have a chance to prepare everybody a bit more, maybe make a post about it, maybe schedule it so that there's a notification or, a thing that pops up so people can click notify me. But this time, the past 2 lives, everything was kind of scattered and I just had to kind of pop on when I had time. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. And I hope that if I don't see you again before the holidays, that you have a happy, healthy, and restful holiday, that you take care of yourselves, that you're safe, and that you just have a good time and let the good times roll. Don't take anything too seriously, my friends. We're here for not a long time, but for a good time. So with that being said, I love you guys. Take care.